Hello everybody, welcome back to yet another LizLabz. Today we're going to be covering the basics of map making, not necessarily how to go into a map editor and create your very own map. That's going to be covered later on when we start working on other things, because I will be creating a map later on specifically for a mod, but right now we're not getting into mods. We're a long way away from working on mods. This is just to make sure that you can find your way to create the map your way. So let's get into it. We're going to go into a new game. Right now we're going to type in some random stuff. Map gen. First off, we have got the very basic, the very home world of Navezgane. This is the town in which this apocalypse takes place. So if you want to play on the nostalgic map, that is Navezgane, is the 6K map. I'm not going to get into the specifics of where everything is in Navezgane, because every single time they add in new POIs, they try to put those set pieces into Navezgane, so the map kind of changes. It'll just be like a rough estimate of how Navezgane is kind of looking right now. Then we have got our pre-gens, which are pre-gen. This is pre-gen 04K1, which is 4K version 1. So it's a 4K map, and this is version 1. Then that's got version 2, version 3, version 4. And then we've got our 6K map that is version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, 8K map, and so on through 10. So all of these are pre-generated maps, and I'm sure at some point or another someone is going to go through and actually create detailed maps to show on the internet, so I'm not necessarily going to get into those. I will tell you, if you are playing on a console version, the Navezgane and the pre-gens are probably the ones that you are going to have to operate on, so let's talk about those specifically. The pre-gen maps are usually broken up into smaller areas. There are smaller towns. There are very few big cities in any of the pre-gen maps. If you are looking specifically for maps to customize with, like, say, a large city with more outposts, with more water, whatever little thing that you're wanting to look at, you're going to have to go into a custom generation in order to do it. Now, as a console player, I think you're only getting pre-gens. I don't know. Hopefully before this video comes out, I would have actually looked up the information, because I am very, very behind. I got sick, and I am creating a whole bunch of tutorials really, really fast, all in one day, of all of the information people need in order to start out a new game. So hopefully by the time this one goes up, I will have that information, and we will put it over there somewhere. Or over there, rather, because can't put anything on the other side. That's weird, awkward. Anyway, what we're going to get into next is how to generate your very own map. Now, right here it says the Bapatodu and Obaser Mountain. These guys, these are maps I have actually generated before, and I can play on these maps again so long as I change the name. The map already exists on my computer. I have already generated it. I can use it. I just need to change the name of it. Now, say you want to go in and create a brand new map for a specific playthrough. Now, you could just put in some basic information here, and it will generate a map, and you'll pop into it like you normally would. You could choose a siege. You can type anything. You could put in words. Hi. You could type in those, and they will generate a world name. Underneath this map is where you're going to find it in your files, and underneath this file, it will be under this name. So you can actually have several different playthroughs on the same map, not saying that you're going to impact that map. Each save will be its own map, but the map has already been generated. I'm not sure if that makes sense. It will be the same map, but not the same playthrough. I think is probably the best way to do it. And of course, you can change your size here. If you are playing a single player, anything between 6 and 8 is fine. If you're on a server, I say between 8 and 10. Now, I will say for the advanced generation, I much prefer advanced generation instead of doing it this way, because you're kind of at the mercy of whatever it decides to spawn in. But don't worry. You have the ability to have your hands in a little bit more of the stuff and things. Let's go into advanced generation. Right here, it actually gives you a warning. You can potentially go into your game files and break your game a little bit, and that will break your challenges specifically. I'll get into that in just a second whenever we talk about biomes. But it does give you this warning, so you have been warned that messing with the settings could in fact break trader progression. Before you even change anything, I'm letting you know. World seed, you could type in anything you want that would actually give people the ability to, with the same settings, play on the exact same map that you're playing in. If you and your buddy actually want to play on the same map, just not on the same world or in the same game, you can actually share maps if you happen to find a cool one. You can change the world size on here to be even smaller than you can in the other way. You can make a very, very tiny map. Maybe you want to make a map specifically for you to try things out, build different bases. Maybe you want to make your own LizLabz area yourself, and you want to create a tiny, tiny little map where you can do a whole bunch of buildings that you create yourself and run hordes over them to see how they react. And that way you know what to build inside your playthrough. You can actually create just a very tiny map with no towns, no POIs, no rivers, no craters, no cracks, no lakes, all plains all day long. And in that way you would have a very tiny map and there would be no hills and you could just build. And that is, you know, something you could do. Now, the way this affects everything else, first off, we have our preview quality. And the higher this is, the longer it's going to take for this generation to actually happen. So be very careful if your computer does not have a whole lot of beef to it. You can definitely go no preview or lowest in case you just want to see where the biomes are or something like that. That is definitely useful. Default is okay. It usually takes me about 2 or 3 minutes to generate a map. And as I said before I started all my LizLabz stuff, all of my stats for my PC and stuff are listed in my Discord. If you are interested, check out the Discord and you can find all of my stats on my PC there. Plus there's also a tech section of our Discord where if you have any questions, chances are there's somebody who has a bit of tech savvy to them in order to answer your question about specs on PCs and if like you're trying to figure out how to upgrade your PC to handle the game. I personally am not a huge tech person and I have somebody I call and ask because they know better than I do. And I'm not going to name drop anybody because I don't necessarily know if they want to be helping everybody, but dude's awesome and takes care of all this stuff. So I would definitely, you know, post your questions over there in that text area. Now, if we want to take a look at all of these towns, wilderness, rivers, craters, cracks, and lakes, we can actually have it to where we have many towns, no wilderness POIs, which are just basically the POIs out in the wilderness, which is why they're called wilderness POIs. Then we have, say, no lakes, no craters, no cracks. Maybe we want a couple of lakes. That way we could put a house near some lake somewhere. This is very, very customizable right here. Now, the sad thing is you cannot fill your map from one side to the other full of towns. Sadly, there is a certain amount of real estate that will allow you to do that. There are people that go in and augment their files to make entire maps full of cities. I will leave you to do your research on that one, and maybe I will cover it in a later video, but right now we're not going to cover that because that's not base game. I will say having many towns, many wilderness POIs, maybe a few rivers. I don't really care for craters and cracks, but maybe a crater so that you have like the Grand Canyon or something. And then maybe some lakes. Could be cool. And then say we don't necessarily want just plains. We want some hills, maybe a mountain or so. And then right here it says biome layout. Each of the biomes are going to be represented on your map. And the reason why this is the case and why it might break trader progression to do an all snow biome or an all wasteland or an all desert or something like that, which a lot of people have done in the past, is because each one of the traders are assigned to a specific biome that is the only biome that they can appear in now. So if you leave out one of your biomes, one of your traders will not be represented, and therefore your challenges, which wants you to go to each biome and to see each trader, will not work, and that's how it will break it. It won't necessarily break your game, it will just make it to where you can't see all of the traders. And there are people who are working on doing stuff to mod that. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about the mods there, but there are options out there. If there's other options you wish to have, don't necessarily say that this is specifically the way you have to have it. I'm just saying that there are options. So don't get frustrated if you can't find the right option for you. Right now, let's just focus though on just creating a map. Say that you want the center wasteland, so it would be like you were playing Morrowind and the center is the volcano. Don't go towards the center of the map. All of your other biomes would be all around the outside, and you know to head inward whenever it's time to go to that extra special crazy place, because the wasteland is the crazy place. And then we've got the circle where all of them in a circle. There's not really one that's left in the middle. And then we've got them all in a line, so they'll progress from one biome to another biome to another biome, and you would work your way across the map. So that's basically what they mean. And then, of course, the percentages of each one of the biomes. Say you're not necessarily interested in doing a wasteland playthrough. Maybe you're like me. I don't like the scattered stuff all over the ground, and you're just like, I'm not going to deal with that in this playthrough. I don't want a wasteland. You could actually take it down all the way to 7%. Now, what do I want to do instead? Maybe instead I don't mind having extra snow, and I kind of like the pine forest. And as you can see, it gauges the percentages off of these numbers. So it will augment towards you, but you will always have some of all of them. And what it will do is in that 5%, the trader that is in that biome will show up in that 5%. Hopefully, if generation works properly. Anyway, after you get all of this stuff taken care of, say I want to do a center wasteland this time, I might want my world to be, I don't know, just a normal size map. I want many towns, many POIs, a few rivers, no lakes because I don't want to have to go around them. And can you take my preview quality up just a little bit? Let's go ahead and generate a world. There we go. Took less than a minute. And there's my map. And it also gives you a key right here, the pine forest being green, burnt forest being a little bit of orange. We get our desert that is like this pale yellow, our snow is gray, and the wasteland is like this orange color. And it shows you right here, these being bigger cities, these right here being smaller towns, our tiny little dots right here being wilderness POIs of some sort, and these snake-like things are our lakes. And it looks like a majority of our map is actually lined with water this time instead of just like dead ending. So that is our map. The red lines are main roads, and then we've got, of course, a whole bunch of other roads. Now, you can hold your right click and move the mouse around, which is really, really weird. Probably should not be messing with that. But you can actually zoom in on your map with WASD and take a look at the POIs from the side. And now if I do it on the highest setting, it's actually going to show me a whole lot more detail. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a thing that you need to worry about doing. Give it a minute. And you can kind of get an idea of what you're working with. This looks like a, I don't know, an industrial section. This looks like a western area. This looks like a big city over here. A residential area over here. Oh, there's ourselves a big city right there. I mean, you can actually see the POIs here and a whole lot of extra information. And if you don't actually need that much information, for the most part, you won't need this much information. Default is more than enough. And if we go a little bit lower, and this is basically what I'm going to show you. There's actually a key somewhere. I kind of wish that they would actually put it on here so you could tell what these are. If I'm not mistaken, we have like, these are industrial buildings, these are residential buildings, these are yada yada yada, that kind of thing. They are color coded. I don't currently have the color code on there. Liz, Editing Liz, if you happen to find the information for that, if you could just stick it in the video to help people out whenever looking at this, I would appreciate it. I don't have it, and I don't have it off the top of my head. Now, if this is indeed the map you want to use, you can actually go through, type in a couple of different world seeds, and regenerate a map. Say you're looking specifically for there are no big cities here. You could keep rolling this map by typing something else and telling it to generate again. There it goes, 46 seconds on this one. Okay, and here we are with the pine forest. Yet again, it has not given us any major cities in the pine forest. And I'll be honest with you, whenever I was starting my first one, I tried really hard to find one that had a big city inside the pine forest. It's really not going to spawn a big city in the pine forest anymore. Not really. It's going to give you like these mediocre little buildings, but this one's not bad because most of them are linked up and they're pretty close together. And right here on the other side, which is the desert, which is a pretty decent biome, well, there's big cities here. Now, my only issue is okay, this is pine forest, this is a small town, this is desert. If I actually wanted to go to the next biome difficulty, and the biome this area is going to send me to, it's going to be burnt forest. Which means I have to go all the way around the center and all the way past this in order to get to this biome for my next trader. So think about that whenever you're creating your your biome map and your world generator. Each biome having difficulties. We've got our pine forest, we've got our burnt biome, desert, snow, and then wasteland, and that's the order it's going to send you to the different traders. So if you want to try and get them lined up better, it also might work better if you just do them in a line. Who knows? It just depends on which way you want to do it. Now, say this is perfect, this is the map I want to play with, you just hit new game, and it will take this brand new map that you have generated, and it'll put it right here underneath your name, and you set all of your stuff and things the way that you want it for your playthrough. And then you just hit start. Alright, and as soon as it's done generating everything, it's going to ask you if you want to spawn in. So if you've got a lower NPC, one that's having a hard time loading things up, tell it to load into the world, go grab you a drink, run to the bathroom, and come back, and it will actually ask you if you want to spawn in instead of just spawning you in, which is a really nice feature for people who are having to wait a while for everything to spawn in properly. Okay, and here we are on the brand new map, as you can see. Let me get up here to where I can just stand on top of something. I'm gonna look around. Okay, we do have our mountain range that we did indeed ask for. Now, what I'm going to do is show you a little bit of something different, which is I'm going to hit F1, type in debug menu, and I'm going to hit tab, go to our map, and I'm going to flick this little switch right here for the static menu. Now here, this is only in the debug menu and only when you're in single player. You're not going to be able to do this inside a server, sadly. This button won't exist in a server. It looks like we're actually on the side of the map. It got rid of the fog of war so we could see where we are in the world. And no overlay, meaning it's not going to tell us any additional information, but we do get a whole lot of information from this. It looks like we probably have our trader over here. And yeah. You can get an idea of whether or not you have big cities. If for some reason or another you opted to not generate the advanced preview, but you want to see what kind of map you have before you decide, yes, this is definitely the map I want to keep for this playthrough, you can pop in here and check it this way. What's even more useful is if you turn on the overlay for, not radiation. Radiation is kind of I'm pretty sure they're going to add it back in as a big thing later on. But you could turn it on biomes, and it will show you, look, we've got like our smallish towns here inside this biome. Now here it does not show you the biome map, but if you remember, whenever we were generating this, it actually told us this is pine forest, this is snow, this down here that is purple is our burnt biome, this over here is our desert, and of course in the center is our wasteland, which is a tiny, tiny little wasteland. Now, a couple of other things you could check out whenever you're in here is just kind of paying attention, which you can kind of do this. Once you've opened up an area, the fog of war is gone. One thing that you can notice whenever you're looking at your map is the footprint of specific POIs. These POIs, their footprint is basically a template of the way that the POI looks on the map. Like specifically this one right here, I am pretty sure is a trailer. Trailer park. Because I've been to this one so many times by looking at it on the map whenever I'm actually here, I can see that right there is the trailer park. You get to where you notice certain POIs footprints on there, and you'll be able to recognize what kind of POIs you have. Obviously, this particular thing is not necessarily useful in base game, but if you're, say, trying to create a certain type of playthrough, a certain type of feel, a certain flow to the way your game progresses, you might want to utilize all of the map options you have in order to customize your playthrough. And as just a quick recount on the different types of things that are on this particular section, since this is map, let's go ahead and talk all of map stuff as well to cover the stuff again. We've got our tracking our waypoint, so if we happen to have a waypoint out here, say we have Stern here for some reason, I don't know why we would have put that there, but it is a thing that we have done. If we wish to track this marker, say we marked a vending machine and we want to go back to it, we have oil shell out there that we would need to go mine, we could actually click on this and tell it to track that, and it will show up on my compass right here and in world, and I can see how far away it is. If we go over here, if I wanted to, I could center this marker, I could click on here and center it over there, and it'll be in the center of my map, so it's easy to find for things that are way out of way. Say you have a friend on the other side of the map that told you where one of the traders are. If you click on it and you click on that, it'll center it over there so you can see where it is, and you can also tell it to remove waypoints you no longer need. So if I clicked on that and did that, it would get rid of it. Now, sure, we can spell it that way. I mean, why do we need actual literature? You can also share these waypoints in servers with your allies, with everyone there, if you're trying to give each other information about where a certain metal is, where a trader is, where a particular POI, like some of the tier 5 POIs, people might want them marked, especially when they have to do with books. And down here, whenever you're sharing POIs or someone has shared one with you, it will show up down here. And you can save the waypoint to your list, you can show it on the map, you can remove it, or you can report it in case someone's just like spamming you for no daggum reason. And then we also have where I am on the map is shown right here. This is my location. If I wanted to say, hey, I'm at such and such, they could put their character, they could follow these map coordinates to my location and actually find me. And then if I were to put my sleeping bag down, it would actually center on my sleeping bag. And if I'm not mistaken, it would actually give you the location of it. And then, of course, our pointer, which shows up over here. This pointer also gives things, so like I'm saying, okay, I'm over here, but what I want to tell them is something that is over here. I could quickly tell them the location of the thing that I am pointing at. And then, if you right-click on this map, you can set a quick waypoint, which is your red marker. So it shows up right there on your HUD. It gives you the location, and it shows on your compass so you can find it. And if you want to get rid of it, you can also do remove quick waypoint to get rid of that. It would be really nice if there was a way in world, once you do this, there would be a good way to like just hit a button to turn this off. That way whenever you get close, you don't have to go into your map. But currently, I don't think there is a way. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, because I would love to know what that hot button is. So that's a good way of marking things. It's like I'm looking on my map. There is, I don't know, something interesting over here, and I'm going to go take a peek at it. Let's go over here. Okay, cool. That's a thingy-majig. All right, now we have found that, and say, I don't know, it's late in the evening time. I need to go find some water, and it is right over here. In that little culvert, we could dip down there and grab some water. So that's the way that stuff is used. And let me think if there's anything else map related. Obviously, it gives you your daytime, your feels like, the wind, which has no bearing whatsoever on the game itself. And then your elevation, which is basically how high you are. This might be useful in, I don't know, mining specifically. It might be useful. And it also tells people, like, if you're on a building with multi-stories, hey, I'm at such and such elevation. I don't know what floor I'm on. Come get me. I'm downed or something like that, which you can't get down in here. So now that I think about it, it would be cool if you could just get downed so somebody could come and help heal you. I wonder if that's even a feature that could be added in. Anyway, back onto map stuff and things. Is there anything else for map? The only other thing I could think of is I kind of already showed it, but you could save a waypoint. You've got different map markers. And say you want to type in, there's a vending machine somewhere and it's got food on here. And then I would be able to look and see where the food vending machine is later on. And if, say, for instance, there are several map markers that I don't necessarily need right now. Say I've got one over here for, I don't know, iron. And then I've got one over here that is rocks. And then I've got one over here that is nitrate or something like that. Unless I'm specifically out mining, I don't necessarily need to see all of these guys on my HUD. So what I can do is just click on them. And they disappear off of my HUD. Even the food thing disappears off my HUD. The only thing that will show up is eventually when a trader shows up. Do we have a trader in this town? Okay. And as you can see, the trader is now actually here. While I am close, this yellow mark that actually has the indicator of a trader being in this location, this little guy right here, it will show up as long as you're close. Once you move away, this will no longer show up. Stop that. Anyway, I don't know if there's a particular amount of space. Here we go. It finally disappeared. Anyway, now we actually have Trader Rex. It auto-added Trader Rex compound onto my waypoints. I didn't have to do it myself. And, as you can see, he's not necessarily on my HUD. And now he is on my HUD. Now, that particular HUD marker will definitely work no matter how far we get away. And we could turn it back on or off. Say we're going on a trader mission and we want to turn all of our traders on, we can do that. Or if we're going for drink machines and we don't need our food machines, we could turn off the food machines so we're not going to the wrong machines. If we're out looking for iron, we can highlight just our iron so we're out looking for the iron. Any number of things. These are very, very useful things to know of whenever it comes to the map. But ladies and gentlemen, that is basically it for map and map generation. As I said before, should I actually include that? I think I should include it just because it might be useful for people who are learning map stuff. What I'll cover now is right now I'm in the debug menu still. You can tell I'm flying. In case you want to know, you have to hit F1, type in DM and enter, and it will show up right here. And then you can fly, you can do all sorts of things. I'm actually going to cover debug menu much, much later. It's not very important for base game. But if, for instance, you are specifically setting up a game that needs a particular POI, there is a feature in the debug menu called the POI teleporter. You click on this and it actually shows you all of the POIs that are on the map. Say, for instance, I specifically need to make sure that we have, I don't know, a Crack-a-Book tier 5 POI. So if I put Crack-a-Book in here, we've got the country Crack-a-Book, we've got the Crack-a-Book HQ, which is Skyscraper 2. So we actually have one. If I want to teleport there to find out whether or not it's in a useful location, I can click on that. And it'll take me to the location of where the Crack-a-Book HQ is. So I can verify, okay, we definitely have one. It's in a city. This location makes sense. Now, if, for instance, we are looking for, I don't know, what would be like a specific type of POI that somebody might use? I don't know. Maybe you're setting up a King of the Hill type of situation and you need a couple of good POIs that you've scouted out ahead of time and you know what their names are, which, by the way, whenever you're over a POI, if you look in the top right-hand corner, let me actually make this a little bit bigger for you. In the top right-hand corner, it actually tells you what the name of the POI is. So if you happen to find a POI that could work for a particular type of playthrough, a particular type of scenario, maybe jot it down for later use. In case, you know, you see one, it's like, this would be really cool for this kind of playthrough, this would be really cool to use in this kind of playthrough. Or if you run a server and you want to do an event at a particular type of POI, make sure you write it down and then use the POI teleporter to take you to whatever it is. So you can investigate the area to see if it works for your event. Now, like I said, I'm going to cover a bit more of navigating in debug menu, so I'll cover a little bit more of that in an upcoming video. Right now, I'm trying to make sure I get as much as I can on the basic stuff. And I do apologize, this is kind of a mix of very basic information and some advanced information in case there are people who have been playing for a while and are looking for more information. That is all of the information having to do with the map and the setup of everything. Not the map editor, just the map itself and how to set up a map. And let's go ahead and go over biome differences while we're talking about the map, because this is kind of important. And for those people who have never played this game before, it might be very important for you to understand the difference between, say, the wasteland and the pine forest, that there is a huge difference in your gameplay that is going to exist here as opposed to the wasteland. First off, let's cover the pine forest. As you can see in the top right hand corner, it says pine forest and there are no skulls underneath this thing. If I go over this POI right now, you can see Midway Clinic and it's got 3 skulls over the top of it. That is the difficulty of this POI. Over the top of it and nothing else, there is no difficulty multiplier, as you can see on the top right hand corner. If we were to go to, in this particular case, we are definitely going to be using, oh, it was already on biomes. If we were to go over here to the burnt forest, as you can see, in the top right-hand corner, there is a marker saying there is a half a skull. So it's got a half a difficulty. As of right now, we are a brand new character. If I was to check out what this means to my character specifically, it changes my loot stage from 1, which it is over in the pine forest, to 11, which means my loot here is going to be a little bit better. Not by much, just a little bit. So it's basically 1 is my base, and this adds 10 more points to my loot level. Plus, it's also going to add a little bit more of the difficulty to the bad guys, as in the bad guys that I run into here are going to be a little bit different because my game stage also changed because I am in this biome. Now, let's see, we were in 1:13. Let's go over to the next biome difficulty, which is over here. As you can see, there's a yellow skull. The red skulls have to do with the difficulty of the POIs. The yellow skulls have to do with the difficulty of the biome. We are at a full skull difficulty in the snow biome. Now, if we check our character, our loot stage is 11. Has not changed. Our game stage is 13. Has not changed. Let's continue to move on. Next, we go to the snow biome. Now we're at 1.5 skulls on the difficulty. Loot stage of 22 here with our difficulty there, and we can also see that our game stage is increased to 26. There are actual people out there that have put out the, I guess you could say, the math problem to figure out what these game stages will change according to biome specifically. I don't personally have that written down, but there are out there. I'm pretty sure that there are a few others that have also covered it, but in case you're wanting the actual math problem, there you go. Okay, and then we're here in the wasteland. If you want to take a look in the right-hand corner, we've got 2 skull difficulty over here in the wasteland area. What does this mean for our character, aside from possibly dying from a dog immediately? It also means that we have a loot stage of 32, and now our game stage is actually at 39. So you see how each one of the biomes, now granted there wasn't a huge amount of difference at level 1, because these are percentages we were actually working with in this math problem that I'm not going to disclose because I don't currently have it. These are percentages, which means the higher your level, the more this game stage change and stuff actually affects your game. As I said before, as I have alluded to and mentioned before, whenever it came to talking briefly about Horde Nights, which I have not fully covered in a LizLabz, because we're going to be getting to that soon. Depending on the biome that you are in, depending on your loot stage, your game stage, or whatever, basically this game stage has more to do with your Horde Night than anything else. This game stage and how long it's been since you have died has to do a whole lot with your Horde Night. If you are wanting easier Horde Nights, obviously stay over in the Pine Forest. If you are wanting a very difficult one, you need to go to the Wasteland. So that is basically all of the coverage. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for everything to do about maps. I am hoping we are almost done with the basic stuff. We will be going over some more stuff and things having to do with the skills and all of the books and then the challenges very, very shortly. So stay tuned for some more LizLabz. I will see you next time. You have a wonderful day overnight and you stay shiny. Bye!